Well, I think it's time for a change. We are speaking from Latin America to the United States. And we have been maintaining a policy throughout the continent between the United States and Latin America that has only benefited one side. That is the corporate power that operates over Latin America, has worn down our humanistic side. And so we in Latin America must now send messages from the backyard to the United States, analyzing the problems we face across the continent, because for the first time in history, we are threatened by a concrete invasion from a foreign power, which is China. And China is already established here and is building major infrastructure because they foresee a grand project for the continent. So here we are as the natural partners between the United States and Latin America, or Latin America itself. We find ourselves weak simply because we are completely divided, unable to come together as one. And so we can't even offer resistance, nor can we change our destiny, our own fate, or the United States continental security. I believe the time has come for renewal, and that renewal must be concrete and positive. We have to set aside all the ideologies that have caused us so many problems. Ideologies in every sense, whether it's communism, any form of extremism, social revolution, guerrilla warfare, or ultimately the adoption of foreign ideals that have nothing to do with the interests of our continent, must be overcome by us, not by them. And we have to achieve a homogenization of the continent so that we can become a single power, able to defend ourselves from the aggression that China has already planned for the continent. The United States has never listened to our voices. Our voices have only been those of demands. Our voices have been of protest, of resentment, of hatred. They have generated the corporate power of the United States through its economic and financial operations, whether banking or industry, has indeed brought development, but it has not brought benefit. There are 1.6 billion inhabitants. In other words, we are 1.6 billion people in Latin America, and practically 80% of us are socially marginalized. So we have to change that. That is to say, new times have arrived with new sciences, new technologies, new ideas, a total and absolute renewal of our entire civilization. And so, therefore, we must offer new alternatives that are in line with the interests of the times. In other words, a continentalist movement is emerging in the world. And those who do not defend their continent, we are a privileged continent stretching from pole to pole, from the North Pole to the South Pole, our territory, our America, completely whole. So how are we prepared with any project for defense with just the installation of bases, only military bases? That is not going to guarantee anything if we do not develop culturally, economically, and socially. Security, in other words, we already have serious problems established in our territory with the issue of drug trafficking. So all of that is because there is no coordination among us. We do not have any association that represents our interests. So if we are not defending any interests because we are defending ourselves from the aggression of our natural partners, then we are not trustworthy. And that's only natural. So what we need to seek is to be heard, for our voices in Latin America to be heard in the centers of power, in one of the most important powers in the world, which is North America, the United States of America. So all these messages that will now originate in Spanish and be transmitted in English, and you in the US and in English-speaking places will understand our natural, let's not call them demands, but rather proposals. We come to talk about proposals, not about any social revolution or much less ideologies. We need to have alternative, superior proposals. In other words, proposals that solve our social problems so we can form a single continental community, uniting the North with the South and the South with the North, making America compact, strong, and solid to withstand the challenges that are already arising in the world. So today, I wanted to start this channel because this is a new channel, which is being called the backyard, the voices of the backyard, the voices of the backyard that have not been heard in the United States. In the United States, only the complaints have been heard, those who demand and complain about the aggressions, about the terrible scourges caused by financial power with its unpayable external debts. In other words, more and more economic pressure, more and more poverty, more and more temptation for China to seduce us. Many of our political leaders are attracted by the Chinese because they offer perks that the U.S. does not offer, and we do not want help from the U.S. We want a partnership. Listen carefully. In the United States, we want to partner with you, just as the United States partnered with China, bringing them capital, bringing them science, bringing them technology, and bringing them a market so that everything China produced became cheaper and more accessible to the whole world. And they succeeded. Just imagine if they had done the same thing in Latin America. We would be China now, but, well, it's never too late when you move forward with ideas. We are creators, creative minds of new options. Let's hope our modest efforts are not in vain. And we invite all those who have concerns and something to tell us, and something to say that can enrich our strength, our presentation, so that we can achieve the ultimate goal, which is an America completely unified from the North Pole to the South Pole. That is the proposal, and that is our concern, our wish, our dreams, and our hopes.